Wanted to ask you about what we also saw last night in the Western Conference as the Nuggets and the MVP, Nikola Jokic, swept out of the playoffs, which is, of course, shocking in its own right. But the play that led to him being ejected from that game, called the flagrant 2, as we talk about the physicality of play with P.J. Tucker, with what the Bucks are able to do against the Nets, this isn't obviously a physicality play. This was a frustration play by Jokic, but it was called a flagrant 2. Did you see that as something that should have led to an ejection, or was it maybe something that they could have at least called a flagrant 1 and left him in the game?
No way. I thought that was horrific in the moment. Look, I understand he was frustration and he wound up and he swung, but he barely caught him with the inside of his elbow on his nose. And I'm not saying that didn't hurt, because I'm sure it did, and Cameron Payne reflected that. He wasn't trying to act and get a call. I'm sure that hurt, but 95% of the action resulted in hitting the basketball cleanly out of his hand. When you combine it with the fact that Nikola Jokic has a squeaky clean reputation, this isn't a guy that goes out there every night and he's taking cheap fouls on people and taking people out of the air when they go to the rim and hurting people in illegal screens. Like, he doesn't have that reputation. Okay, so let's go with that. And I do think that should play into it sometimes when you start talking about guys and the reputation and what they've done in the past. I think it should play into it. You take a look at it. This is the MVP of the league. This is the playoffs. Clearly, he was not trying to hit him in the head. It just so happens it was incidental with his elbow grazing his nose. So for me, in the moment, and then the more I saw the replay, I just thought that was a terrible decision to eject Nikola Jokic from that game.
Legs, speaking of the Clippers, is this their best opportunity here? You're looking at those two wings, man, and Kawhi and Paul George. I know Paul George just woke up last game. Donovan Mitchell having someone of that ankle injury. Is there a better time for the Clippers to pounce them right now?
No, you got to get him now, Jay. You know, we'll see what happens with Donovan Mitchell. I have a feeling that Mitchell's going to look a lot closer to 100% maybe than people think, because even at the end of that game, he was trying to get his way back onto the floor. You know, he's standing there having a conversation with Quinn Snyder with his arm around him, and I think Quinn Snyder was watching the action saying, okay, if we get a stop and a 3 right here and it's still doable, he probably would have sent him back in. But there was a couple of possessions they didn't score, and I think Quinn Snyder just thought, you know what, let's just not risk it, sit you down. But I think there was a chance he was going to even make it back in that game. So I do think he'll come back and he's going to look like Donovan Mitchell. But look, this is their Clippers shot mainly because you didn't get the Lakers. That's the bottom line. You did not end up with a healthy Lakers team. And when you look at Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and you add in the role players on that team, and if they can make three-point shots around those two guys, and Paul George is that aggressive and that efficient, the way that he was in Game 3, the Clippers are very much alive in this series, and this is their window to get this thing done. Having said it, I think the Utah Jazz are a more complete team, and I think the way they move the basketball, the way they share it, can overcome even a great defensive team on the perimeter like the Clippers. Ball movement trumps all of that, and that's what the Jazz do. So I still think the Jazz are going to win this series, assuming that Donovan Mitchell is, like I said, close to 100%.
If you're right, though, Legs, the Jazz are going to win, what's the next step for the Clippers and Kawhi?
It's a good question. I look at it like this. This is where Kawhi Leonard wanted to be. I don't think Kawhi Leonard is out there hunting around anymore and looking for other franchises and other stars to pair up with. He wanted to be with this franchise in this market, and so did Paul George, and they wanted to play together. So even though from a front office standpoint, you're going to look at that and say, what do we need to do to shore this up? I don't necessarily think you're going to look at those two guys. I think you're going to look at what's around them. But as far as Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, to me, it seems like they've made their decision where they want to be. And I don't think, coming up short again in the postseason 2 years in a row will be enough to deter them. I think they're going to start looking at the rest of their roster and thinking about what else do they need to add. One thing I thought Rondo could address was the lack of vocal leadership on this team. I think it's a problem when you have two super laid-back guys who want to lead by example. I think that doesn't necessarily translate to the fire that you need sometimes. I thought Rondo could provide that, but only if he's on the court doing Rondo-type things. So I think that's an issue. It's something they need to look at internally when you look at the rest of their roster and the way they fill it out. But I don't think Paul George, Kawhi Leonard are going anywhere.